So we actually saw it happen. If you go to search for Taylor Swift and your Drakes and Olivia Rodrigo, Ariana Grande, it's gone. Universal versus TikTok. And quite frankly, I don't know who's going to win on this one, but Universal has made the first move and done it in an extremely public way. My law office represents a lot of artists and bands who are signed with Universal. And so we all got a big email the night before Universal did this. So in the email, Universal says that they've been in discussions with TikTok, and TikTok is being super unreasonable. They're paying our artists way less than all other music platforms. And so for that reason, our contract with them is naturally expiring and we're not going to renew. And at least as of now, we're going to be pulling the music, right? So all of our artists' music off of their platform. My initial kind of little tongue-in-cheek response to that specific item of like, we're fighting for getting our artists paid. Well, most of your artists get paid very, 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 very little.
Right.
Okay. It's you getting paid. You own the
Right.
music. Like,
Right.
let's be fair here.
Right.
But setting that aside, downstream, someone's getting paid something at some point. Fine. But anyway, so we actually saw it happen. So, if you go to search for Taylor Swift and your Drakes and Olivia Rodrigo, Ariana Grande, it's gone. They made the move and they're saying that TikTok is trying to bully them. And TikTok actually responded. Do you remember what TikTok said today?
They are just saying that they're just, putting forth a false narrative with their rhetoric, and, they don't really care about, putting the artist first, and they're the platform that's actually trying to put the artist first.
I mean, look, you don't know who to believe. And obviously, Universal decided to go in the court of public opinion, which sometimes
Right.
is a strategy, right? So, sometimes it makes sense to kind of alert the media, so to speak, if someone has a big following and it's going to get, because it's a point of negotiation. We won't say intimidation, but it's definitely a point of negotiation because you're like, hey, everyone is going to see TikTok as this unreasonable monster taking advantage of artists. Is that true? I don't know, but that's definitely how Universal is describing it. If you're a hustler like me, working on your career every day, go to topmusicattorney.com to apply to work directly with me. Let's get your music business to 6 figures and beyond.
I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where, who's going to cave, because both companies need each other. Universal holds the biggest artists, arguably, that are out in music. Definitely agree with you. And it's not going to impact the artist's pocket, because they're getting paid so little from TikTok anyway. What it will hurt is their viral exposure, because, all of these artists are just being broken with TikTok. That's how hits are made. Like, and the fact, Universal's making a huge move. The fact that they're even, these record labels, they need TikTok more than ever. Like they need them. They're struggling to figure out their, marketing strategies for these artists, and where they're getting broken is on TikTok. And
And not
especially
even broken. And not even broken, right? So, we've covered artists, like huge artists, who have posted that they're so upset at their record label because their label goes, we're not going to release your song until you have your big viral moment, right? And so,
right.
but the
So
big artists are also, they understand that there's like this big game being played. Now, Universal comes back and they're like, only 1% of our income is from TikTok. So, it's such a discrepancy, forget it. But I think you make a really good point that that's not the only benefit that you get for having your music on this platform. And I beg, I'm just going to say, I don't think the exposure potential is the same for any other platform, at least right now,
no, for sure.
as it is
And I
for
mean,
TikTok.
think about what it does for, like catalog music. We just talked about Evanescence. They just hit 1 billion streams on Spotify. They had 1 billion, views for their video on YouTube and stuff like that. And then, they went viral. They had viral moments because of TikTok, because of, the all the different videos, TikTok videos that were being made. We saw Fleetwood Mac that had, its Dream song go viral because some guy was on a skateboard with his, cranberry drink. It's just more reasons to have control over your music if these are things that you are concerned with, because, you see a lot of artists that are re-recording their biggest hits, and that's a way of sidestepping, some of this stuff later when they're talking about their catalog music. So if Universal pulls their stuff, maybe some of these artists have re-recorded it on their own terms and their own little thing, or that just could be, a way. But, all these things are where both sides are claiming it's not about the artists. Like the artists are still kind of getting the shaft. I think the thing where they're going to really hurt the most, though, is with the exposure and just with the fan experience. And I don't think somebody's going to have to cave, because these artists are too big, and it's going to be disruptive.
Yeah, and artists are already responding to this, right? So we have some universal artists because not everyone is Ariana Grande, right? I don't think she's gonna, suffer too much one way or another as of now. But for other artists, and they go, this really was my marketing tactic. I cannot
Right,
promote my own music because my
right.
music is not on this platform anymore. And so, those effects are definitely being felt already, especially for the artists who take marketing super seriously, not as a vanity thing, but just simply as a way to promote their themselves, right? To promote them as
Sure.
businesses. So I get it from all standpoints. Now, how long is this, gonna last, right? We're within the 24-48 hour window of this
They
kind of going into play.
I'll tell you what, I actually didn't think that it was gonna go down. I was, pretty shocked this morning when I, got up and actually took a look on there to see if they were still there, and they were gone. Um, I think it's pretty interesting that you don't really see this too much where I mean, it's a huge move for, Universal to play this game. We'll see what happens. I mean, I predicted they're gonna figure this out in the next couple of days because you gotta just think of the money daily that's being lost or potential, you know what I mean? They're so concerned with getting, just based on how many times a Taylor Swift or a Drake song or a BTS song, or Olivia Rodrigo song is used in, and those are just the major artists. This is all of Universal. There's a lot of artists on Universal.
Yeah, and I think it's estimated that it's between 30 and 40% of the content on TikTok is music related. Obviously, it's not all universal music, but it's a heavily music-based platform as of now, and so, I don't know, a part of me feels like TikTok still has the advantage here,
Yeah,
and, ultimately,
I
we're gonna
agree.
see whether the music pops back up and they're able to come to terms, but for me, I was just, the gall of Universal. A Music Attorney is your number one legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com.
What if it goes deeper than this, right? So what if because I mean, they're both kind of calling each other out, and they're not like, they're not choosing their words very carefully or, very much. They're kind of just throwing out there how they feel, both sides. Can Universal say to these artists, okay, we need you to pull your platform from TikTok because we don't want anything to do, not, we're going to go so far as not even just to take our music off TikTok, but we're also going to pull Taylor Swift. We're going to have to pull your account from, from TikTok.
Yeah, I don't see it going that far, but I mean, to your point, I guess that's kind of so, do you think some heavy hitters might buy out the contacts and go elsewhere, right? So that same kind of thing. I don't know. Here's the thing. It's so nice that big record labels can go in and separately negotiate their deals. For all the independent artists out there who don't get to play that game, you just have to sign the terms of service. You are subject to whatever it is. You're really not getting paid, quite frankly, at least as of now, for your stuff being on the platform. You might, eventually, so it's nice that they can play these games and actually get a good deal potentially. Ike says, can the artist buy the right to use their music on TikTok? Well, so the point that I was kind of making is, it's funny that Universal's like, we're fighting for the artist rights. These agreements with Universal stereotypically usually say Universal owns the music. So it's not, and the artist will get maybe like 14% of net, a very, 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 very tiny percent of earnings. And so, as far as the artist's ability to like go and buy the music, no, they can't because they don't own it anymore. What do you predict is going to happen from here?
Well, actually, I think there's gonna be a wave of, depending on how long this goes, you're gonna see some of your favorite artists doing acoustic performances and a lot of live just singing of their songs to
Oh,
make
that's
create
funny.
sounds to upload.
That's funny.
You know what I mean? There'll be ways, and I mean, people always kind of find ways of sneaking things on there or whatever, but, it is a big move, and I wonder how all the artists are feeling about it, you know what I mean? Just they have to explain it to all the artists on the roster that are like, "Dude, like, what the like, what's going on? I'm not signed up for this, like, cool, like, you're fighting for what, 2 extra bucks? Like, you're not really giving me anything on it anyway," when you're just kinda I don't know.
Yeah, and my final thought here is not actually knowing what the numbers are, not knowing, what side is kind of being more truthful than the other. If TikTok is outrageously underpaying compared to other music platforms, then yeah, I would probably take the same stance and be like, you better get on board. Universal definitely needs to have that negotiation power to get TikTok to come back. So we'll see what happens. I think they're gonna have to get kind of creative here,
I
and
think
there
we're
would
gonna
need
see
to
their
be.
music soon.
Well, and there would need to be additional moves because maybe, yeah, it would be something like Ariana Grande's getting off the TikTok platform because she came up with a deal with Universal to make that move to put pressure on TikTok.
Right.
So anyway, this is not the end of this. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our updates on this, and we'll see you on the next one.